guys, it's me, Smile McGee, and are you ready for the most insane update I will ever give? Well, I hope it's the most insane, because literally there was blood, there was emotions, there was a lot of drugs, and you may think I'm talking about some new Narcos kind of movie, but no. This is all about my trip to the emergency room at a research hospital during this corona crisis. It was insane. So, as you guys know, my stomach's been bloating really bad, but my bowel movements have been normal. So that's kind of concerning, especially because it's been hurting, and especially because I wasn't able to keep any of my medications down. And if I don't have my meds, this body is in very big trouble. So I was just gonna slip up north with my dad, drop into my GI's office, no biggie. But it was a biggie, because that medical office was totally closed, and they said my only option was to go to the ER. And I felt so crummy, I literally thought that it was the only option I could take. So I went to the research hospital ER during the corona crisis. And where my research hospital is has the largest amount of COVID patients, and your girl is immune suppressed. I have comics. So I have CVID, and I am on 2 different immune suppressants for my mixed connective tissue disease. So I was headed into this ER visit terrified. And not terrified because my stomach was swollen, terrified because I thought I was gonna freaking get the plague and die. So I sucked it up. I was brave. And we got to the research hospital, and there was this giant blue tent. Huge. And I go walk up towards it, and there's 2 guys in basically hazmat suits, and they're like, hey, no worries, just over here. I'm like, that is really intimidating looking. And they just laughed, and like, I always have a little bit of a cough. You guys know that because of my disease. They're like, oh, just because you're mixed connective tissue? I'm like, yeah, it's totally fine. They're like, oh, okay, don't worry. Here is a wristband where you can go to the regular ER. We have a regular ER and a respiratory ER. You will just go through there, not a huge infection risk, but with the fact that you are immune compromised, I would recommend you wear a mask the whole time. So I put on my mask, waited to go back, got back to the normal ER, past triage. They were evaluating me. The doctor was evaluating me, and he had me do deep breaths to check my lungs, which is usually not a big deal, but every stinking time the doctors check my lungs and I have to do deep breaths, the inflammation in my lungs causes me to cough. So I cough, and my whole world explodes. They start freaking out because apparently I had a low-grade fever going in, which again is not uncommon for me. And they are like, we need to send you to the respiratory ER. I'm like, but I have a stomach issue. Like, no, we need to send you to the respiratory ER. We can't be too sure. We can't infect other patients. And I'm just like, I'm gonna die. I am going to die. I went to the ER to get help with the stomach issue, and I'm gonna die because I catch freaking corona at the hospital. I was freaking out. Like, you know me, I'm not the most anxious person in the world. Like, I have my anxious moments, but I was losing my shiz. You couldn't tell it on the outside, because being sick, you learn how to keep a game face in medical places, but on the inside, I was freaking out. So they walk me over to walk. Remember that. They walk me over. I had to walk to the respiratory ER. And what happens when I walk long distances? I cough. So I cough again, and this guy in the hall, this medical worker, goes stark white because I'm out of breath and coughing. Everyone's losing their freaking minds, and I'm literally thinking, this is how it ends. They're gonna shove me in a corona unit because of my average everyday symptoms. So, see? I get too excited and I cough. Anyway, we get me over to the respiratory ICU, which was actually the overflow wing for when they don't have enough beds. They get me in there, and it is a whole nother world. I have a little footage. There's the spacemen that come around my cabin. They were all wearing these spacesuits that had their own air systems in it. I got re-evaluated, and gratefully, I had an awesome doctor because I was trying to get it through their spacesuits that I have an inflammatory condition that causes my lungs to inflame and causes me to cough. But everyone is screaming corona at me. But the doctor and his nurse, when I finally got the people who were assigned to me, they read through my chart and actually understood that I have an inflammatory condition. So they're like, okay, since we have you here, we're going to keep you here. You're completely safe, being immune suppressed. There's actually extra precautions being taken in this unit. So I feel like you would be safer in this unit. But I am not worried at all about you having corona. You have an inflammatory condition in your lungs. Duh, you're gonna cough. Everyone is freaking out, but I am not concerned about corona at all. And all I could do was sing the Hallelujah chorus in my head. Because I was literally getting calls from my family saying they're gonna quarantine me there for 3 weeks. Lost my shiz. I was freaking out. So anyways, I start getting evaluated and I was in so much pain. But they were so backed up, they couldn't do anything but give me drugs. So I was in a ton of pain. They gave me drugs. I was super nauseous. They gave me more drugs. They tried to give me a GI cocktail. I threw up the GI cocktail. And they gave me 2 different drugs that are related to Ativan. And Ativan is commonly used to treat nausea and stomach pain. And it also just kind of makes you not care. But I forgot my body hates Ativan. So I was feeling dizzy as ever, super freaking high. So high that I barely remember some things that happened. And then I started puking blood. Yeah, you heard that right. I went over to puke. I had a bag and just brown coffee ground nastiness came out. And you all know I'm not a stranger to puking blood. So I was just sitting there. Awesome. Corona patients are coughing next door to me while I am puking my brains out with blood, and I am so high the whole room is freaking spinning. I did not know what to do. I called my dad, trying not to cry, because he's outside waiting for me, but they won't even let him into the unit I'm in. So I'm just crying to him, trying to ask him what I can do, how I can get out of the situation. And they scheduled me to have a CT to make sure there wasn't any masses or anything causing the inflammation or a large pocket of blood in my stomach. I waited for over 8 hours for that CT. They were so backed up. I just sat there puking my brains out in pain, getting more drugs than I ever had in my entire life. And believe me, this girl has had a lot of prescribed drugs. And it was so crazy. The doctor would literally call me on the phone in my room to give me updates. I was in the freaking Twilight Zone, guys. It was madness. So, back to puking blood, not knowing what to do. My mom is in Louisiana because she's helping my brother move cross country, which is a whole nother story if you guys want to hear that. And we come to the conclusion that I need to leave against medical advice. But y'all know I'm a big people pleaser, and I've never left against medical advice before, especially while I'm high as a freaking kite. So I'm just I don't know what to do. My mom wanted to talk to the doctor over the phone, so my mom and the doctor are basically screaming at each other over the phone. I'm just trying not to puke blood all over this doctor's shoes. And then I decided to follow my mom's gut, because I didn't really have an opinion because I was higher than a freaking kite. And I signed AMA papers, and the doctor warned me multiple times that I could die not listening to his advice. And then the nurse that discharged me was just really mean about me leaving against medical advice. She didn't want me to go, but she really let it show how much she didn't want me to go. Not in a good I care about you way, but in a really mean kind of way. Which I'm sure she was just really overwhelmed with everything, because I would hear coughing in the hall and the doctors would be like, yeah, check beds 8, 9, 12, 22, and 14 for corona. So I just think she was overwhelmed, and I went to leave, and she left the IV in my arm. So I traveled home with the IV in my arm. She made me walk out of the unit when I was as dizzy as fudge from the 500 medications they put me on. And I finally got to my dad, and we got home around 2 in the morning. So I left the ER about 12 at night. When I got in there at about 11 in the morning, we got home at about 2, and my sister just had to take out my IV. And guys, it was the most insane day of my life. If I have corona PTSD, it won't be from Charmin commercials. It will be from that experience, because I thought I was going to die. And gratefully today there has been no blood. I have been puking a little, but my stomach has felt better. Like, the bloating's been better since I puked up all the blood. And weirdly, okay, you might call me super insane for saying this, but I think God wanted me to go to that ER. Yeah, you guys are probably like, wow, girl, you are still on drugs. But that is not the case. So listen to me. I think he wanted me to go to the ER because I kept on feeling progressively worse, and that was leading to puking up the big old bucket of blood in my belly. While I was puking that blood, I had every resource available. I had IV fluids, nausea meds, pain meds, whole shebang. I had every resource in my corner while that was happening, and I was on so much drugs, it didn't even really, like, faze me that I was puking blood. Like, emotionally I was scared, but I didn't have the pain, and the Ativan makes you feel chill AF. Like, your brain can be going crazy, but your body just won't respond to the anxiety in your brain. Like, it's really weird. But anyway, I think he wanted me there so I could experience those symptoms in a medical facility and get it over with. As insane as that sounds. So I think there was a secret blessing in going there. So that is my story of going to the ER during the corona crisis. Oh, and so the doctor called me this morning about my test results. I forgot that part. My body was whacked. I was so dehydrated. My hemoglobin and hematocrit were high. My urine already had ketones from one day of not eating. Like, that's how messed up my stomach was. It usually takes me about a week of not being able to eat to get ketones, and ketones means your body is beginning to eat itself because it doesn't have the proper nutrition it needs. Like, you're not feeding it enough. So yeah, I had high hematocrit, high hemoglobin, ketones, all this other off blood work just basically from malnutrition and dehydration in a day. And he called and said that he probably would have left to get some medical advice too. The first doctor I had, not the one that was in a screaming match with my mom. Anyways, if you kept track of that whole web of a story, congratulations, but I'm home. I am less nauseous. I've only puked once today, and I've mainly just had smoothies, but I'm doing a little gut rest, and since there may or may not be a bleed in my stomach, I'm just taking a break from NSAIDs for a little bit. I live a block away from a hospital, so if anything bad happens, I know I'm in great hands. I absolutely love the staff there. And I will probably never go to that ER again, and most likely never go to that ER during an apocalypse. Do you have any questions that I missed out on, like that I didn't answer during this video? Comment below. Comment below your crazy experiences during this apocalypse. Stay strong, stay safe, and as always, smile on.